Okay, I think we're ready to begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are trying Zoom for the first time. Before this, we used to be on Discord. And welcome to the side of the interface. And let me give a quick little intro on what AOH does, and then I'll let Richa take it away, right? So AOH, After Office Hours, is a place where people in tech, founders, builders usually hang out. And we have a very, very supportive community where people ask questions, sometimes just hang out, talk about the things that we're working on, and stuff like that. And I would request any of you that are on Instagram or Twitter, if you like this talk or if you have something to say about this talk, like feel free to tweet at us. And I'll also introduce myself. I'm Sansrukti. I'm a product designer currently at this company called Property Guru. And I am your host for today. Very excited to be hosting this because language and writing in general is something that I'm very, very passionate about. So I'll also introduce Richa. Richa is a UX writer at Allen Digital, and she has been a UX writer for about 4 years now. And she's been at many, many places where she's had to set up things 0 to 1. So she's very experienced, and I'm very, very excited to see what she has to show us and talk to us about today. So, yeah, Richa, you can take it away.
Thank you, Santrupti. Hi, everyone. Really excited to be here and just talking to you about UX writing. I'll just give a little bit of brief about me. So I have been a writer most of my life. I've loved writing, and I kind of explored what UX writing is in 2019. And from since then, I think December 2019 till date, I'm just doing UX writer at multiple places. I have been to many startups, did the 0 to 1 journey, and every startup I've been to, I have been the first UX writer. So tone and voice, guidelines, these things are very much important to me because I've seen how much they streamline your process, or in general how much UX writing is important. So that's about the work part of it. And apart from that, I just love writing. I love reading. Um, that's that's about me. I think I can start with the session right now. Is it okay, Santrupti? Start the
Yeah,
share.
yeah. I think we're good. We can start now.
Oh,
Yes.
great.
So I don't see anything, so I think it's just me, maybe. All right, take it away.
Right. UX writing, right? I will like cover a few things today, and it's very random. I will like basically I'll take some time to explain what UX writing is, why do we need it, what are the good examples of UX writing, what are the guidelines that you need when you are starting a team, or let's say when you have UX writer in your team. What are the first things that you should do, and then what is writing guidelines, what is tone of voice, how the content design process work in a team, and then just we'll see what else I will remember while showing this presentation. So starting with why do we need it and what is a UX writer. So UX writer is someone who is basically a designer only. But when they design a product, they think from a content first perspective. A lot of times you must have heard that, we need a copywriter, we need a UX copywriter, or just a copywriter or a writer in our team. But these are not like the right terms when you refer to a UX writer. A UX writer is referred to either as a UX writer, which is user experience writer, or content designer. Most companies, like who are Microsoft or even Google Meta, these people, these companies refer to their UX writers as content designer, because this is also like kind of a debatable topic, because UX writers are basically designers only, and just to give them the equal value in a design process, they are called as content designer, etc. Um, so whenever someone say UX copywriter, and all these terms are not right, so never refer to a UX writer as a copywriter or UX copywriter. Why do we need it? You see how we are moving towards this time when everything that we are doing is with the help of these products. Like, we are in tech throughout the day. If we are waking up, we are ordering some food, we are taking an Uber to the office, we are zeptoing things, like ordering a lot of things. And Most of our life is surrounded by tech. We are calling people, we are using WhatsApp, etc. So these products have become a major parts of our life. And when these are such a part of your life, these products are trying to be more human, like AI and everything. What are they doing? They're trying to be more human. So when they are trying to be more human, what's that one thing that they will do to be, stand out among all the other products? They will be nicer humans, they'll be more helpful, they'll help you better, they'll be quicker, they'll understand you better. Because I have now four options to order my groceries and four options to order my food, but then which one should I take? It that one, that which one will be a better experience for me in terms of ordering food or ordering grocery. So that is why these products to stand out, there is a real need of them to uplift their UX writing and to also introduce a nicer tone and nicer conversation that you are doing with your customer. Of course, because I will choose where I'll feel better, well I'll feel more understandable, etc. So uh, UX writing is one way and one of the best ways to make your products more human. And everyone is talking about UX writing, that UX writing is such a new thing. It has helped a lot of products. One copy can change the whole product and it can make a lot of money in that particular product. We have seen the examples of Amazon, and there has been other products as well. But this is not at all new. We have been living with UX writing for so many years, we have just not realized it. Let's say these are some few examples there. Whenever you walk into an airport and you are making sort of a decision, whether should I get a coffee or should I just go to my gate, or should I stop here, should I shop? How do you make those decisions? When you see that board which will say gate 46 is 2 to 3 walk away, you can make a decision in your mind, okay, it's 2 to 3 walk away, I can maybe grab a coffee or shop and I can reach in time. But just assume that there is no such boards, you will not be able to make a decision. You will reach your destination, but you will think it was not a great experience. I could have done that, I could have done that, or maybe you know something. So UX writing has always been there. Even if you are in a railway station, it tells you, you go there, this is the exit, that all. So those are just one single words that are helping your experience, that is making you navigate. uh, if you're in a washroom, you see those vacant and that sort of text which tells you is the bathroom empty or not. It could just have been a color, but no, there is a text also, because it also improves the inclusivity of design. So those texts are very very important. We have been living with UX writing all our life, we just have not maybe realized it, and it's not a new concept. So these are some of the examples, like how UX writing is there even in our physical products, railway stations, etc. This is one example of washroom, but this is also again example of a user experience writing. So why do we need such sort of text? Because one, it helps us making better decisions faster. We can have a clear picture of, if I have to reach to some sort of gate, then what are the things I can do along the way, and how much time do I have, everything. I have the full picture of the experience, and I will be confusion free throughout wherever I am traveling. um, the thing is that right number of place, because let's say so basically there are three things: that right number of place, right number of words, at right number of confusion. If you are preempting these three things, makes the best UX copy. Right place means, if I am telling you the gate is 1 minute away, before just like let's say if I have to reach the gate 45, I'm telling you at 44 that it's just the next gate. It is a good copy, but it doesn't help me, because I needed this much earlier when I had to make some decision. So right place is very important in UX writing. Right number of words is also very important. You will not over do the words please, sorry, etc. is not needed at every place. And what are the right questions to preempt? That's the third thing. So at whenever I'm writing a copy, I have to preempt that what my user will be needing at that point of time, what kind of questions they must be having, what kind of decisions they would need to do right at this moment. So if you preempt the confusion and if you address that confusion beforehand, that makes a good UX copy. So basically, what do we mean by preempting the confusion? So let's say if your uh, company is a credit card company and you are asking for my PAN details, my PAN card, but you're not telling me why. I will drop off at that point. You are not telling me if my, credit score will be affected or not. I will drop off at that point. So as a user, you'll have to think, you'll have to preempt that I might have this question. So you should answer that question right where you are asking for my PAN. This will not affect your credit score. And we are asking your PAN for this sort of, thing, this sort of process. So this is what is important when you are writing for the user. We always say that, get into the user's shoes, think from a user's perspective, but it's very hard. It's the hardest thing when you are writing, when you're content designing, as I say, because you really have to think of the journeys. What were the questions you'll have when, as an example, I was writing for one product, and I thought I had covered all the cases and everything. But when I left writing for their product and when I joined that app as a user, I realized there are so many problems, and there are so many problems in that particular app. So you have to really really get into the user shoes. You have to really think, what must be the problem here? What how can I make the user's life better? So if you have that clarity, if you get those clarity, those questions at every step, then you will be able to write a good copy. So what makes a good UX copy is addressing confusions, very important. Being clear. Being clear is a like top priority, because your users doesn't read everything, they scan it. As user, when you think of any product, uh, wherever you are ordering from Swiggy, Ola, or anything, you don't read everything that's there, you just scan it. So those action driven copies are very important. Make payment now. So these things are very important. Order now. And because we scan those copies, we don't read it. So being clear is very important. Being non-judgmental and inclusive. Inclusive may look like a very new concept, but again, if you look at it, it's a good UX writing helps. It's a very inclusive design. Like a good content design is a very inclusive design, because let's say if I have to, and maybe you have seen this at certain places, that if the washroom is engaged or vacant, they'll just show one color, which is red and green, and they'll want us to assume on that basis, because red and green are very very universal colors that defines a lot of things. But what about someone who may not know the concept, and what about someone who have some problem in color blindness, in something that they might not be able to judge in the basis of what we want to say from that color? So a good writing, if I write on that, even if I am showing the color but also I'm writing on the same product, that what does it mean, it makes an inclusive design. And being non-judgmental is, let's say if you're writing for students, or if you're writing for any credit card people, if you're rejecting them, you have to be very very patient. You have to be very very non-judgmental. You can't say you have a really poor score, or you can't say uh, you will not be able to uh, be our customer or something, in a very, if you, even if you think that's transparent, but you have to find some other ways to say it. Then let's say if you're writing for a student's app and student hasn't got good marks, you can't say you have very poor marks, or you did not do well, because these can make me like or love, hate or love you. So it's very important that I will be very non-judgmental when I'm trying to communicate something that's a bit uncomfortable. um, then humor. A lot of even writers may relate to this, that when you are writing for some copy and they say, well, let's add some humor, like Zomato is doing, like Dunzo is doing some humor thoda, but it's not, it's a very risky thing. Most of the times when we write some humor, only we like it. So we need to really really think that if it's a place where it's a no risk zone, basically I don't have to take any input from the user, or also where I don't have to communicate any news that's disappointing. So you should not use humor there, and humor is very subjective. So even if it sounds very boring, but you will have to go with a very light tone of humor that's also cannot be interpreted in a lot of ways. For example, I saw this one app which is a financial credit card app. um, and they were asking for your birth date, your birth date to enter, so that they can match your birth date against your PAN card. But the copy they wrote was, tell us your birthday. We will make a note of when your birthday is. But that's not a right copy, because they thought ki if they add that particular copy, it will sound very cool, very Gen Z, very fun. But that will lead to drop off, because I might not tell you the birthday that is right as per my PAN card, but I will rather tell you my birthday where I think you might be want to surprise me. So if you are doing something that's very very important to the product, that you need to check it up clearly. Like, don't write it in a humorous way. It doesn't help the user. Just ask them directly, tell them why you need it, and the user will be able to trust you. Empathetic and positive. So empathetic, I think everyone will know what it means, but it means that you also need to be thoughtful. You also need to be very you also need to understand where your mistake is. If your page is not working, that's your mistake, and then you will apologize at that point. But if, let's say, it's my fault, you might not apologize, but you will still be empathetic. You will understand that uh, you know uh, I might not have did it deliberately, like not made my payments on time. So if I have not made my payments on time, there are two ways. Either you can talk to me very harshly and say, you just make this payment today, otherwise this will happen, late fee will be applied, or you will be thoughtful that there can be some problems that I am going through, and you will be explaining me that what will happen. You have missed your payment. See what will happen next. That's a better and neutral copy, if you are being empathetic about the situation. Slack is one of the best examples. Let's say if you're starting to learn about UX writing, or if you don't have a UX writer in the team, and if you just want to know that what makes the best user copy. So Slack is humorous also, at places where it's not very risky, but at most of the places it's also it is very purpose driven. It knows what my user must be thinking right now. So there's a very good example, and it will help you understand how it thinks. So I have logged in my desktop for the Slack app, and then I want to also log in my phone. So whenever I open the phone and I install the app, I'll see a scan a QR code. But I'll be like, what is this QR code, and how will I be able to log in with this QR code? That's the question, that's the confusion that I have. But Slack already preempts it, and whenever you click on that option, it will tell you where to find the QR code. So it will tell you the options. Some people may look at this, oh, this is very copy heavy. This is not copy heavy. This is my current emotion. My emotion is that I'm confused. If I'm confused, you will tell me the right steps to erase that confusion. So this is a great example. And vice versa, if I do go on my computer first to see what this QR is for, it will tell me that you can sign in using this QR on your phone. So it's a very good example. You all should definitely check this out in your phone and laptop. So basically, kind of summarizing it, that it preempting the confusion and not thinking about that, it may be wordy, or it may be very text heavy, it will not look good to my design. They have answered my question. So basically, they made my experience better. And it's a very good example. So why copy is a major part of your any design? I think I've covered this in sort of conversation in the last few minutes also. But again, a good copy is that basically I it will navigate me where to go, what to do. Like if you see Slack, it was very navigational copy. I was not stuck at it. Did not had to go to the QR code thing, and they not had to Google to see or YouTube to see, how do I use the QR code to log in into my phone or in my desktop. It already answered my question. So it's very navigational. It's told me where to go. Clear. So basically, it simplifies complex actions and process into simple ones. Because let's say if you remember in the previous, like 10 years back when we had those computers, it would tell us errors that we would not even understand, like server down, close the app, kill this, that. Now if we see, there are few apps or few pages that owns up to that, that we are working on our 404 pages, it's not working right, we will get back to you, you can retry. So I'm just very not anxious when I see that. I can relate to it because that's how also I speak. And it's also very clear, it's not telling me in complex jargons, computer jargons that I might not understand. So one more important thing is that don't over communicate. Your 404 page might not be working because some server is not working right, and that's why your page is not working, and since the user is not able to see. So never over communicate. You can just directly say ki, we are working on fixing this, and we will you can retry it later, or we will let you know when this page is up. So never over communicate. User will get confused if you over communicate. So like keep it very clear. Engage. It's a good, it's a good human factor if you want to make your apps more human, like good morning, hi, how are you doing, like Slack, how Slack do it, how they understand, they be relatable to you. If you try to write text to yourself in Slack, it tells you, it's sometimes it's great to write to yourself, you can tell your thoughts, but remember you have to make both side of your conversation. So it's very relatable because these are the things that you think, and if someone tells you, you'll be like, oh, I can relate to this, that's what I do too. So that's very engaging. It just puts a smile on your face and you think that this product understands me. Trust building, very important if anyone is working in financial apps or writing for payments or those consumers. Very important that you not be very humorous there, tried and tested. And very important that you will be very clear in your what you have to communicate to the user, any information that you are asking. Since in India consumers are very very they're very conservative about sharing their details, also because there's so many scams going around, but they're also very conservative about their money, sharing their details, even if you are asking for some sort of pan, Aadhaar, anything. These are very crucial details, so they will trust you if you tell them what you are exactly going to do with it. And if you are very humorous about it, you're quirky, you're not very casual about it, then they might not trust you in that process. So that is very important, that your copy should speak trust. Conversion, effective UX copy with strong call to actions can significantly improve conversion rates. There's a very good story. If you want to read about it, it's called a 3 million button story. You can like Google it later and you can read about it. So that story speaks about how one button can changed like product revenue, and then they like kind of solved a really big problem just because they changed a few words on that button. So these call to actions are very important. As I said before, that user is not reading it, user is scanning it. So, and the lesser the eye gazing point is, the better that your UX is. So they will just scan your button, and if your call to action is something that will make me less anxious, more clear about the next steps, because your call to action is about the next step. So you can get better, on board customer easily. Like let's say uh, if you are in an you have a free trial, you can say try for this free, or no credit card required, because even if you are trying for free you have to give a credit card. So whatever information you think you can do to convert the user at that point, like try for free, or next step may there is your pan building, so they will always you know keep their pan card or Aadhaar card with them before starting the next step, instead of dropping out in the next step. So just give a clarity of what next step is, and if it's very lucrative, like something is there for free, or there is some let's say if you are saying that there is a pan form that you have to fill, and it will take 1-2 minutes. If you mention that time also in your CTA, it will help user to set an expectation. Okay, I'll just have to give 1 minute to this, so they will go through the process. Because sometimes if you tell me have to fill an application, I might drop off if you don't give me the expectation of time. So these things makes good CTAs. I have like picked out few examples. So this one example is that it's not a good humor example. And pick a password. Don't reuse your bank password. We didn't spend a lot of security on this app. While this may seem very funny, uh, but it's not. I will not trust this person. Then there's a very good example of 404 page. 404s and heartbreak. We couldn't find the page you were looking for. Maybe our FAQ or community can help. So it's not leaving me hanging here. It's giving me something to do. It's basically a good navigational copy and very light humor. Just like light humor is used here. Um it's very quirky, but has a very clear heading. It's quirky in the subtext, and also it's giving in navigational copy and action to do. Go home. This is a Pixar error. It's. I would not say it's a very good copy in terms of um, user experience, but it aligns with their branding, so it works. Then this is a Mailchimp copy. Mailchimp is great for UX copy. They have good guidelines. They have also integrated their content design very nicely. This is a very basic example. You must have seen it on other apps, but if you are picking a password here, and there are many, apps or many onboarding journeys where you have to pick that password, one capital, small, 8 letter, special character, numbers, this, that, etc. So how do you kind of, how it makes it better is that it is telling whatever you have checked in that particular criteria list, it is kind of checking it out. So it's very good sort of collaboration of content and design. Again, this example I have talked about, be sure to enter the billing address associated with your credit card. Um, so I am moving to, so these are the examples. You can just put down your questions. I'm moving to the guidelines part, which is was kind of the selling point of this. But it again, I wanted to set some context on the UX writing part, and I have kind of spoken about what makes a good UX writing. So that is what we will eventually write in our guidelines. But there are, three sort of guidelines that help streamline the process. Either you have a UX writer, or let's say you don't have a UX writer, you can still make these guidelines. Um, so one is writing guideline. So I have divided it into three parts. Some people also kind of make writing plus tone of voice, or copy system plus writing, something like this. So writing guidelines is basically whenever I am writing for the app, for the product, which letter should I capitalize, which letter should I, should I use exclamation mark, should I use what kind of formats of dates should I use, uh, then should I talk in active voice and passive voice. So writing is basically how I write. Tone of voice is basically when I'm writing, what is my tone? Uh, is it apologetic? Is it assuring? Is it quirky? So that's tone. And copy system is basically, let's say you have a lot of buttons in the app. So I have not worked on copy system on a very extensive basis, but here are a few things I figured out and I'm currently working on it. So let's say there are, just like design system, there are so many buttons, and then you have to define that this is a proceed. Should you use proceed in your app, or should you use continue? So what are the different sort of those buttons that are recurring in your app, and how you just define and put like one single option for everything, and in what cases do you use next, in what cases you use continue. So just defining all those buttons will help the designer to just put directly directly from those copy system, and then they can add into their design thinking, okay, the next step is this, I can add this particular button. So you can map your copy system in that way. Second thing in copy system is that let's say you have error text, right, which is incorrect password or standard error text, anything. So there has to be one single guideline of how that error text should be. So I will show you the format of it. And these are the two things right now that I have for copy system. I will not be speaking about copy system much, but rather on writing guidelines and tone of voice. So, moving to writing guidelines, there are very good reference of writing guidelines, which is Microsoft. It's the best. Uh, I can talk about it that it is covering everything from your inclusive writing to how what are the symbols you should use, how you define what kind of formats of anything, be it a mail or a date or a numerical, how do you write for it, how many digits till you want to make it decimal. So all sort of things it has. Even Mailchimp has a very good guidelines of writing. So these two are my favorite. Mailchimp is slightly different than what I do because it is more on a quirky side. So I don't like completely follow it, but Microsoft is really good. Then there's Spotify and Slack that you can also check out. So let's say if you are in a team that you don't have enough bandwidth to write the good guidelines. So what you can do is you can just adopt one. You can just pull one guideline from Microsoft or from MailChimp. You can just put out the points that you think, okay, this is something I agree with. This is how the capitalization should be. For the CTA, it should be like this. For the title, it should be like this. So I'll just copy paste these guidelines. So you can adopt always. Don't spend too much of your time in defining new things. You can simply learn from these two, and just you can make a simple document with all those pointers. So why do you need to make these guidelines? One is it maintain consistency. So whenever, let's say, you see your app and you define ki, okay, how the button text should be. Should it be whole capital? Should it be one capital? Should it be whole small? And you should have a good reason for why you are doing it. If there's something that's unconventional, like you are keeping everything is small, then you need to have a good reason of why such unconventional. Do you want to stand out? Do you want to show that you are unconventional? You will not go by rules. So what is your reasoning? You should like define that big. Then second is you build better design, because when you have already a clarity that this is how my sentence casing should be, this is how my format will be. I will not be changing my format for different, because for different, let's say, pages, that this is one thing that will stay consistent. So you will have like a clarity already, and you will basically be able to build better design. You'll have an expectation. You can show numbers better, even if, let's say, they are coming from backend or anything. You can show okay, till how many places do you want to show the decimal. Do you even want to talk about numbers in numerals? Do you want to talk about them in letters? So how you want to define that. You can write that also. Then you can see how your writing will look like when you make these guidelines, and what are the kind of symbols that you should use. Should you use at the rate? Should you use exclamation mark? Because a lot of companies don't use exclamation mark because they sound very loud. And even, let's say, if you're saying incorrect password, and if I use an exclamation mark, it just seems like you're shouting at me that incorrect password. So what are the kind of symbols you should use? Should you use hyphen? So even these small things like hyphen, comma, um, you need to build a guideline just to define that where will I use this, or if I at all or not, I will use this or not. So this is one kind of link that I've added. That's how I made the guideline. So this is again a very, very basic guideline. Standard glossary, let's say you are working in uh, a finance company or a grocery sort of company where there are some words that is important to you, and you always want to highlight those words because they are important to you, to your branding. So let's say, and I have a lot of credit card examples. I'm sorry. Let's say if you're working for a credit card company, then words like credit score is important for you. So you will always highlight them. Highlighting means you will always keep the first word capital of it. So you, because these are your words, these are your brands. Even let's say I'm working with Alan. So anything like test, anything like doubts, anything like classes, I will always capitalize the first letter because that's the most important part for me in the whole you know experience. These are my branding terms, so I will always keep them capital. So you can make your standard glossary as per the company you're working in. Ki what are those words from A to Z that is important for you? You can make a like quick dictionary out of it, and you can just say these words are important. I will always keep the first letter capital to this because it should always be highlighted. Then second is capitalization. So this again depends on you. This is what I felt was right for my product, that I would keep the first letter of every word capital. I will capitalize proper noun. First letter of the first word of a sentence should be capitalized. If there's a slash, I will capitalize that particular word. Or email, how do we write emails? How, what are the exceptions? Because when you are thinking from a design perspective, there are exceptions. So for me, exceptions are whenever, let's say I'm writing for a CTA, and there are some connecting words, like if I say connect to care or connect to support, so that to for me in the CTA is a connecting word. Or for, of, these for me are is connecting words, so I will never capitalize those letter. Like I will never capitalize O of the of or T of the two, because for me it's a connecting words. I want the user to focus on the two words, connect and care, and two, I don't want them to focus on it. So I will keep it not highlighted. Or you will encounter a lot of words like this which you feel are the connecting words, so I will not capitalize them. Then format is one thing that you need to define, because it happens because somewhere you are using some other format, somewhere you are using some other format with an exclamation, with the apostrophe and all, and there are many things that you need to cap like sort of define that format of this will be this. Your symbols, your rupee, and if you're using at the rate, active and passive voice. Whatever you are doing, just try writing examples and see if it's working for you. Active voice is usually preferred because it's very quick to read. It's not like uh, this is done paid by you. But even I think in some ways, passive voice is the best. Let's say if I want to highlight the price that you have paid 500 rupees, I want that price to come first, because people, if I make a payment, I'll just see if I how much I paid. So I just want that number to come in the first frame of the sentence. So then you can use passive voice. You just see what is working for you. Text color, should you add text color? If you're adding text color, then what else you can do to just make it highlighted, because it may not work for everyone. This is also there in a lot of design guidelines. Inclusive, if you don't know a gender of a person, then use their them. And don't ask for gender of a person unless it's absolutely important for your product. If your product manager says ki no, we need gender, ask them why do we need it. For what reason do you need a gender of a person? Because uh, everyone might, and if you are asking gender, try to be inclusive. Have an option that say prefer not to say or non-binary. Everyone needs to be feel welcome. That is very important. And let's say if you don't know gender of a person and you want to refer them, use their them. That's a separate debate. uh, Navigational, use navigational copy. Like if you are let's say saying something, if you want to lock your card or if you want to order, go here. So try to make that design, try to find the product to make that change. Don't say if you want to order from here, go to this orders page and click on this and that. Your customer will lose you there. They'll rather ask another their friend and someone else that how to do it, rather than to listen to your steps. Acronyms. Acronyms basically means if there are some short forms of things that you are saying, or um, if you have made any sort of acronyms. So use acronyms wherever it's universally understandable, like SMS, PAN, KYC. There are more. If they are universally understandable, you can use them. But if they are not understandable, don't risk of saying it. I might have said, let's say, previous class in the heading, in the text, in the CTA, I am saying view PC, because I think maybe they're in the context, they will understand that. No, no one is reading all of your text. Always keep that in mind. So don't create any acronyms. Articles are a and the, so maybe you can avoid using them in titles or button text, etc. If someone debates you saying, this is not grammatically right, you tell them that what you want your user to focus on, that it has to be also clear. Even if it's not grammatically right, for the headers and button text, it can work. Numbers, again, you need to define that till what decimal digit you want to show. Should you do you need percentage, fractional? How do you want to show the numeral value? If you're using first, should you show as one and st, or should you write the whole thing? Punctuation, there are different punctuations. Which one will you want to use and why? Uh, so I think you can read this. This is very like a basic detailed guideline. You can read this later. Uh, we should not use jargon. So there are a lot of things like I personally believe you can avoid using usage of emojis, because everyone has different perception of emojis in when they are writing. Like if let's say you send me a light smiley face, I will think you are being sarcastic, but for my mother it is just a smiley face and nothing else. So even emojis are very subjective. What's your tone? Like basically I've said this before also, that your tone has to be positive. If you want to say to do this, you do this, instead of saying ki, if you don't do this you will not get the credit card, or you will not be able to attend the class. Don't speak in that tone. No one likes to you know listen to that. Space, these are very basic guidelines. And how which person you want to talk to. If let's say you are talking in a second person, just talk to in the second person throughout the app. If you're talking in the first person, let's say in the page, if you say that kind of I want to buy this, that's a first person. So just think if everything in the screen is according to that person, and not if you say ki you will buy. So you just have to compare that anything that you are deciding to do, it has to be consistent throughout the app. Contractions are basically if let's say you are putting a apostrophe to reduce these number of words, like vr, instead of you're writing v apostrophe re. It is better because it has better readability. A lot of scores and a lot of if you check readability scores, they always have a better score. Sometimes if you write this, you might feel ki, oh, this is not looking good, I am not able to understand this. But if you give that to a person or a user to read it, they always have a better readability, because it is contraction for a reason, and it has a better readability, so you can go with it. You don't have to think too much on this part. Format of response text, so basically this is that format that needs to be in a copy system, which is that if let's say I have an error text or any sort of, let's say, incorrect password or incorrect OTP, or this is not getting submitted, anything that is coming from backend, this is a kind of a response text. I can make a format of this. So format is reason, yeah, or result or error, and then next steps. So let's say if there's an incorrect password, I will say the password you have entered is incorrect, full stop, not exclamation. And then I will say keep retry with correct password, or retry with correct OTP. So that is the correct format of writing any response text. I have written these examples. Please try in 15 minutes or uh, this is some sort of personality things that I have written. Like don't be judgmental, don't give your opinion, what do you think, don't use orthodox terminology, or any sort of kind of fiction elements or context that you have, don't use that. So this is kind of about the guidelines part. And the next is what is tone of voice guideline. I'll try to go quickly now. So, tone of voice guideline and how you make it. Tone of voice, again, I will explain, is when you speak, that's your voice. When you write, that's your voice. What is your tone? Your tone could be rude, your tone could be happy, your tone could be, empathetic, polite. These are your tones. So, how you define your tone? First, you define your personality. It doesn't have to be a really big exercise. You define your personality as in, okay, this is a person who is, let's say, Swiggy. How will he speak? Is he friendly? But friendly doesn't mean that he might be quirky also. Is he apologetic? What are the things that I want to be in this person? How should he react in different sort of situations? So in that way you can define a personality. He is a happy going person who understand, who is very thoughtful also, who is very helpful, who is very humble and very friendly, approachable. So these are the basic personality you can define. Okay, this is what makes my product a person. And then you can write the tones of, let's say, if you're saying friendly, friendly means he's polite and he's very, helpful. He's very positive. You can write those tones against your personality, and then you write the emotions that you think your user will go through in your journey. And then you can map those emotions against the particular tone. I will show you an example of a table. It's a very standard table. You can use this table to. There are two different types of table. I'll show you. One is this, that you either define. So you should see if in this area customer emotion. Just focus on this. So these are the customer emotions that I am assuming will happen. If, let's say, there's a milestone, I am assuming that the customer will be pleased. Uh, so what should I do in that screen, and what the tone should be, so if I am my customer is pleased, I'm assuming, because I have given him a freebie, so I'm assuming that he'll be pleased. And then I will write an enthusiastic tone on it. If And just remember, if you see this table and later when you try to write about this table, you will realize that all of these emotion overlap to one another. He could be pleased and he could be satisfied of a freebie. He could be satisfied or he could be neutral. He could be neutral or he could be confused. So they are a bit overlapping to each other. But that's what, as a UX writer, you should do is you should assume that this is what my customer must be thinking. No, I think he will be pleased right now on this. If I'm giving him a freebie, or if I'm giving him a free trial of 100 days, he will be pleased. So these are the customer emotion, and this is the product tone of what you should be using. If he's satisfied, then you can be motivating. You tell him what the next step is. Neutral, then concise, relatable. Confused, then honest, informative, navigational. Disappointed, then apologetic, informing, assuring. If angry, then you have to be apologetic and ensuring. Informative, you cannot be assuring at that point because you don't know if you can solve that problem or not. And this is again, it's not a great quality, but this is again a good example of how you can map out your tone. This is another way of mapping it out. This example I got from some person who was working at Uber and who had posted their Uber process. So this is basically, I basically write what is the moment in my journey from highest to lowest. One is getting introduced to, let's say, Uber, getting a ride, trying Uber, getting a deal, getting cancelled on, or paying the fee, or completing my ride. So you can like map your journey in that way, from ordering food to getting your food and giving ratings if the food is bad, if you have any problems. So you can map your journey. This is the second way you can do this, and then you can write, what my tone would be. um, then one thing that to remember is that neutral is very, very okay. If you have a neutral tone in the 90% of your product, it's absolutely okay. Because this and I must and you must have heard about this rule, that peak and rule, where users are most likely to remember the very good and bad experience, and they 90% of the journey is just neutral. Very good means that something great has happened, which is pleased. So there you have to like really push yourself and write anything that you will make them feel better. And if it's very bad, like your I have invested in your mutual fund and it's getting closed, or you're not able to process my mutual funds, or my interest is not getting credited, something really bad, then I will remember that what you told me, or something like that. So in both of these cases, just make sure that you write the best copy. In rest of the cases, let's say your incorrect OTP or your loading, even loading states, you can make something. If it's not a risk area, I mean, is basically if you don't have to take any input from the user, then in that case you can make it something quirky or something related to your product. Otherwise, most of these journey will be neutral. Your CTS will be neutral. Another, this is again from Uber. So it says that if your headlines, what are the light, enthusiastic, casual things in your copy would be, and what are the matter of fact, serious, straightforward is. So CTAs are straightforward, error messages, payment, transactional notification, terms. So these are, matter of fact. Just tell me how many money got deducted, or uh, any error that has happened. Just tell me straightforward. Notice if you are positioning yourself to be friendly, don't add quirk. Again, I've said this, that best places, if you, let's say, want to add quirk, or because we get that feedback a lot, that do something nice, should look like something nice, something different. So if you want to bring the difference, don't hamper the user experience copy. Write your funny thing or anything else that you want to add to the personality of this person that you have created in your loader text. um, just like, examples are, have a sandwich, or like take 2 minutes nap while we'll just fetch your information, or we are just creating this group, you can sip a coffee or something like that. If you want to add, loading places are the best, because you don't have to give or take anything there, it's just there. um, Again, this is very, if you have encountered this question, ki this doesn't look very friendly, this looks plain, maza nahi aaya, can we make it more conversational, do we have to polite, do we really need to say sorry here? So to answer all these questions now, always uh, check these boxes. If it's clear, it's simple to read, if it's easy, if it's intuitive. Once you have checked these and you think, if I add some sort of personality here, if I even say sorry, it's incorrect password, it is not correct, because you have to tell me incorrect password. You don't have to be sorry for it. It's my mistake that I am not remembered the password. So don't overdo uh, this politeness also. So in that, you have to define, this is the part that I want the user to focus on, and there is no place for me to add the personality. If I add the personality, it's hampering the readability, and that's why I can't add more words here. So you can reason it out in that basis. There's a quick example that I have written on how to add tone to your writing. It's not the best one, but basically, it's key. If, let's say, you have a problem, that is, your page is not working, something is happening, and the copy that you want to write is that we have encountered a problem, please retry after some time. Then second step is just assume that what your user must be feeling at that point of time. Is he feeling disappointed or angry, or assume one emotion that he must be feeling angry at this point of time. So then think from that perspective and write, sorry, or something. If you want to write that we are working to bring the page up, always be positive, like we are doing this for you. So please try in 15 minutes. So that one is apology. Second is I am informing you that what went wrong. Third is I'm telling you the next steps, that you can try in 15 minutes. So I have a clear expectation of what to do next. I will not just keep on reloading that time, because I know that you told me ki come after 15 minutes. So I think that's about it. That's all
Okay.
of the things I had to say.
Oh my God. This is so information packed. I I am I mean, I will be reaching out to you personally a lot of times to learn more, I feel. So this has been great. I have a lot of questions for you. And I know we're already over time, so I'm gonna pick and choose like which ones I ask you. But my first one is, I think something that you mentioned was preemptive communication, right? Is there such a thing as too much preemptive communications? Like, can I ask too early for something, or like, can I communicate something to you too early? And like, how would you go about identifying that, oh, this information is not needed here and it's too preemptive?
So whenever, let's say, you are asking me for an input, you want me to
Mm,
do something.
mm,
Let's say you are asking, for example, my father's name or
mm,
anything, even gender, anything that you
mm,
think that why should my
mm.
user give this to me? Even if
True.
why a user should give it to me. So that time you just preempt it and then you give that
Mm,
information.
mm,
Let's say
mm,
if you think your app will take 3 to 5 minutes to process this,
mm,
that's a preemptive
mm,
information. Instead of telling this like later when that
mm,
process is
mm,
actually happening, you can tell before,
mm,
this will
mm,
take some so much time. So to preempt that
mm,
confusion, I've said that you need to be in the user's shoes. You need to
mm.
think like a user, that I am
True.
going this way. Is there anything else that I need to do to make a decision? Like,
Mm,
do
mm,
I have all the documents that is needed?
mm, mm,
Do I know which course I need to pick?
mm,
So
mm.
to have all those questions ready, you can
Yeah,
map the journey in that way. Is there anything
yeah,
else my user would need to do? No, he will
yeah,
want
yeah,
to
yeah.
go forward, then I can write the copy accordingly.
Yeah, the billing address at the credit card thing was a very important one in the way that it said try to match the one in on your credit card, right? So what purpose you're asking for was like very like it clicked in my head like super fast, right? Another big one is so when I started writing some amount of copy back when I started design, something that my manager told me that whenever I like the way that I would check for copy was like whenever you write something and you read it, does it paint a picture? Like that's what she told me, right? That was like something that I used as a handrail to write better and better copy instead of like writing something super jargony, super like you're reading those words and you have no idea what it's trying to tell me, right? Do you have advice for people that want to practice, or how would you go about like people that are not right that have never written before but want to practice and get better at it? Like what kind of do you have anything that could help people get better at writing?
Uh, so again, writing is very subjective, but how do we judge it is
Mm,
that all the good
mm,
products that we use, and
references
users are
definitely.
also getting better at it.
Mm,
Even if you
mm,
see the best products, like even Facebook,
mm,
you have a great
mm,
UX at a lot of places.
mm, mm,
So,
mm,
how you can learn this is, again, you can look at a lot of products. I have one very good book
mm,
that I can suggest, and that book is like a criticism of a lot of
mm,
copywriting, a lot of UX
mm,
copywriting. This should not be
mm,
like. So it's like
mm.
that book starts with criticism. It
What is it
doesn't tell
called?
you; it just starts with criticism. So I'll post
Mm,
the
mm,
name of that book here, and
mm,
that is one book that you can go through, and that will tell you a lot
mm,
about how to look at the copy.
mm,
Uh,
mm,
then again, your goal should be
mm.
very clear. Second point is that
Definitely.
if I want a user to do this, even if
Mm,
the copy is plain, it's
mm,
fine because it is helping the
mm,
user to reach there. So a lot of times you also have
mm,
to debate with your,
mm,
portfolio
mm,
that you're working with, that this is doing the job. This is
mm,
how you can user test and you can talk to a
mm,
user, you can get their feedback.
mm, mm,
Sometimes when we have done the user testing is that
mm,
if we try to do something different,
mm,
there's a chance that they would be getting confused. But if we
mm,
would be more plain, we would be more neutral. We, you know,
mm,
just focus on clarity, that it's
mm,
clear, it's
mm,
concise, it's like not too much.
mm,
You can like write a really good copy. User only care about that they are able to do things quickly. How
mm,
quickly I can order a food, how quickly I
mm,
can book a Uber.
mm,
And
mm,
the last thing is that think one day, like just become a user and just think, ki, what do you notice in the products that you like? What are the writing you
mm,
notice? Most the
mm.
answer is that you see what is helping you reach your goal and then you quickly like do.
Replicated. Yeah.
So think like
Yeah.
that. Like this is what is really
Mm,
important. This must be important to all the other users. Uh,
mm,
more important that you write for like clarity. You write for them
Mm,
to help it.
mm, 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 mm. Yeah,
Even
yeah, yeah. So,
yeah,
if I can summarize, like what you're saying is try and be neutral in the beginning and try and concentrate on being informational first, and then try to put advanced things like tone and trying to have a personality and all comes as like sorts
I
on
can't.
top of being very good for copy in the first word. Okay, can you not hear me? Hello, my
I
internet connection is unstable. Oh no. Uh, you can hear me now. Okay. Um, is there anything specific to take care of when writing UX copy for a more AI based product? I think this
for a
was from Pooja.
product.
Mm, mm.
I didn't get your question. Is it?
When how do you make how do you write like more human sounding? I think it was anything specific to take care of while writing UX copy for a more AI based product.
I don't understand what AI based product you mean by, because
Mm,
whatever kind of product you are writing, you need to
mm.
have a very similar fundamentals.
True,
One of
true.
those things is that one, you be clear. I'm like
Mm,
kind of emphasizing it, but it's very important that
mm.
you be clear. Uh,
Correct, correct, correct.
you be
Yeah.
clear. Your CT is your call
Mm,
to action. Your next step should be very
yeah,
clear. Then
yeah, yeah, yeah.
relatability.
Mm,
Why do you like
yeah,
Slack? Or let's say, if
yeah.
tomorrow another GPT sort of thing comes and it says to
Mm,
me, "Oh, hi Richa, I can make mistakes, but feel free to ask any questions you have."
mm,
It's
mm,
a
mm.
relatable thing, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he has answered my question, and then again he is
Mm,
following up, and the like GPT is
mm,
following up on,
mm,
did I understand or not? How do that communication is done? It has to be very
mm.
relatable. So
True, true.
relatability, what you can do is you can like see a lot of products, like how
Mm,
Slack is again a great example. You can
mm,
also
mm,
Airbnb. They are
mm,
also
mm.
at very points when, let's say, you
Yeah, yeah.
even booking.com, these products are
Mm,
very, you feel they are very copy heavy from a design perspective,
mm,
but they do the job. So I don't think there's a
mm,
difference if you are writing for an AI
mm,
product. I
mm,
guess,
mm,
let's say you're writing for a chatbot, you will have to be more
mm.
conversational. That's another skill,
True,
to be
true, true,
conversational,
true.
to know how to hold a conversation. But
Yeah.
when you are writing for UX, you should know how to basically
Mm,
move the user ahead to the next
mm,
step,
mm, mm,
how
mm, mm.
to, take
Yeah.
the focus. Yeah.
I think something that I've noticed that like working with like different teams is that sometimes people tend to end up using words that they're internally using within the company. And I'm like, that has no, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah. You were pause for a bit. You can tell me.
Yeah. So I was saying, sometimes what happens is like when you're working within teams, right, where people end up using like internal terms that they are currently using, and they don't like think like if that's a commonly used word for something. Like that's something I've noticed with like B2B copy, especially.
Mm.
And I'm like, people don't know what this is, like this random thing that you've like come up with. Like for example, I was working on a maps project recently, and then the way that we show like restaurant, food, all those categories or whatever, my PM was like points of interest. Like she called them points of interest, and then she wrote a copy that was that. And I'm like, people don't know what points of interest are. Like, why are we using such a jargony word, right? So I think that's also something that I went on a tangent there. Really apologize for that. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that point. Um,
So
when does
yeah, I think
okay?
you're right. And the thing is that uh, a lot of times teams and stakeholders thinks that no, we will educate the user about this. It's
Yeah,
a new product that has a very random name that is nowhere related to your product at all. They think we will educate the user about this. I don't have the time for education. I came to
yeah,
order my food. I came,
exactly.
like I came
Yeah.
to ask you a question or some.
Mm,
I came with a goal in my head. I never
mm,
come to
mm,
in these apps. If I want to have
mm,
fun, I'll go to Instagram. If I want to
mm,
learn
mm.
something, I'll go to some place
Right,
else or anything.
right, right,
I
right,
know
right.
where I come to. So never
Mm,
spend the time in like so much of educating if it's not
right.
my recurring journey. So always
Yeah.
try to go for simple words, something that I may have a
Mm.
context of. Uh,
Yeah, I think a design principle in general to follow is like meet people where they are instead of like asking them to come to where you are, you know?
Yeah.
It's a very, I don't know, for me it feels like a fundamental thing in just design, not just like writing. Anyway,
Mm.
okay, we're very short on time now. We have exceeded our time limit, so I'm gonna conclude this call. Thank you so much for this very informative session we've had. Thank you everyone for coming, and please tweet at us, let us know what you thought. And yeah, have a great rest of your evening, and yeah, take care everyone. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.